Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Hotline League. It is a banger, as always. Just bangers after bangers on Hotline League these days because, wow, people are mad at a very shy young lad for giving a bad interview. And we're going to be devoting all 2 hours to that. Stay tuned. But first, let me introduce my co-host, none other than Cubby. Cubby, how's it going?
I'm doing great. I actually got a chance to talk to the shy young lad afterwards yesterday too. He was less shy when the camera wasn't there. So Anyway,
Okay.
I went to LTA yesterday. That was fun. And yeah, excited for the episode.
Nice. Did you stick around for the after party?
Yeah. So it was a good combo of a weekend for me to go. It's actually the first time I've been all year.
Really?
So,
Yeah, that's crazy. You should go more often. I was. It's unfortunate I missed you because I was there on Saturday.
Yeah.
I had, for those people who know from my streams or whenever I've been on her stream, Jade Peach was in town, and so I went in. It was interesting because I sat in the audience and watched just as like an audience member for almost the entire time, and I had not done that in a long time. Usually, I'm up in my throne room, so that was pretty neat. It was cool to be there, and then I stuck around for the after show or the after party, I guess, for that they did for what's it called, Spirit Blossom
Yeah,
after
Spirit Blossom, yeah.
party thing, and that was really fun. They did a good job with all the teams showing up, other than 100 Thieves. I think 100 Thieves was the only team that didn't show up, which is interesting because their team also didn't show up in game. So I guess that was kind of the weekend thing for them. Anyway, we have Raz here. Raz is our guest for the evening. Raz, how's it going?
I'm doing all right, but significantly worse now, Travis. You know why? This is where I start flaming you. Where is the promotion for this episode? Where is the tweet? Last week, you tweeted an image of, Emily saying, "We're live with at League of Emily for Hotline League. Randoms unite! !" What happened today?
I mean, I'll do it right now, which is when I did it last week. Here's my thing.
Oh,
I kind of feel like Twitter's dead. And so I don't really care as much about promoting content there because I feel like it doesn't really drive any awareness or value these days. Like, I feel like almost everything, it's like Twitter is dead internet theory. Like, it's so many bots. I tweeted something earlier today, and the reply that I got on it was just, what was it? I said, hey, I'm going to be on this podcast on Friday because NZXT, sponsor of the show, is having me on their podcast on Friday. They're streaming it live and at twitch.tv/NZXT, and they are giving away some stuff. And the first thing that retweeted to me said, I'm shook, played out like your video, back tested, first killing the game. Just a bot.
That's a great tweet.
From an account with a bunch of things. Yeah. So I don't spend as much time on Twitter these days. I miss when it used to be really fun and really interesting and all that stuff, but nowadays I feel like everybody's just like kind of left. And I, sometimes I dabble in Blue Sky, but I don't know. People are getting tired of social media, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, I think we're moving away from the written social media days.
Yeah,
I miss it. I always think, like, whenever I talk with Emily or Kelsey about how I would read their written content and thoroughly enjoy it. But that's me becoming really old. It's just not a thing anymore.
When I think of somebody really old, I think of Cubby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of offensive that Cubby said that. It's actually just a shot at Travis completely, I must say.
Are you guys, so by the way, next episode, maybe we can try to get, like, Raz, I don't know if you're busy next Monday, but maybe we get you and like a second guest on, because next Monday the episode will be my birthday. I'll be turning 36, so it'll be I don't know if I've ever done Hotline League on my birthday. I don't think the schedules have ever lined up that way.
It's a very highly divisible number, 36.
Yes, exactly.
That sounds like fun. That actually sounds like fun. You should have a second guest in there.
Yeah,
Like,
so
for instance, if a pro player comes on, that'd be great.
Like Sheiden,
Travis. Yes, bring him on.
Well,
honestly,
he's a friend, kind of like pros,
I should have done that. I should have tried to get Sheiden on for tonight because I feel like everybody would have tuned in just to follow up. It would have been sick if he'd gotten on and then he'd just been like the most verbose, thoughtful, dude that's just having these crazy discussions. It would have been great.
That would have been it. But I mean, things have been okay. I've been vibing. Work week was fun. We had Spirit Blossom, as you already mentioned. And I was at both after parties, which is great because Shopify literally will always have like quote unquote a boba truck, but now it's like more of just like a boba shop kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Also, God, I have it right here. FlyQuest, I guess, has this sponsor.
They got skincare.
Oh, the skincare sponsor, yeah.
Yeah, the skincare sponsor, like these mud mask things. So that's fun. That's great. Have that going for it. Yeah, a lot of free stuff. So we enjoy it for that. Oh, and the not so free stuff. Guys, I have to show you this haul.
Oh, off he goes.
I don't know why I put it on the ground. I'm not the greatest human.
Oh, I saw you tweet about this. Yeah, I didn't even know. I saw them over there. I didn't know they were selling stuff. Do you want to explain what this is? We got podcasts.
So, okay, for the podcast listeners out there, they were playing music, and if you go up to the people who were playing the music, they also had a vinyl shop. It was like a pop-up vinyl shop. So I have Purple Rain from Prince. Ooh. That one's sick. Love that one. And then the moment I noticed they had Utada Hikaru, I just got 4 different vinyls of Utada Hikaru, by the way.
They're different covers?
They're different covers, all of them.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy, this one. I mean, I'm just going through them.
How much were they selling those for? I honestly, had I known, I would have looked at their records.
I think they were just like kind of $50 a pop, which is for at least these.
They were $50 a pop. Records are that much money?
Yeah, I think so. Well,
they're in collectible category now.
Damn, so you made it worth it for them to do. You funded the whole pop up for them.
I literally funded them. It's crazy. So yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it completely. Saw a lot of fans. That was great. It was a full house on both days, which I was surprised about because I was like, the first day completely guaranteed that. But a lot of people usually come into LA from like San Diego or OC or anything like that. So I didn't expect the second day because it was the same kind of.
Well, they were pushing it a ton. Even on Saturday, they were like, tickets are still available. So I was a little worried.
True. So then, yeah, second day was a full house too. So I was happy to see that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, how? Okay, so Cubby, how you been? What you been up to?
Not much. It was fun to go to the games on Sunday, and it ended like a really busy week for me. I was on LPL a lot, and then we had a super week for NACL. So I casted a lot of games last week, which is fun. I haven't had a week that busy yet this year, so that was a good time. And I was up for 29 hours from Friday into Saturday because I had NACL and the LPL and the CLOL. So I crashed and then showed up to LTA Sunday, and that was just pretty much my week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you been? I know we usually talk about media that we've been consuming lately. I actually have.
Ooh.
Well, I have a couple of fun things. So one, I received a key from the publisher for for Expedition 33. Obscure.
I heard it's great.
I always just call it Expedition 33. It's Claire Obscure.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like it. It's been really fun, and they did such a good job of making like turn-based gameplay interesting in like the 2025 gameplay meta. Raz, I think you should play this game. I feel like this is a game that you would like. Because you're one of the few
based
people.
On the Persona enjoyer, the turn-based. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Raz is one of the few people like myself who is an esports individual that doesn't just play League of Legends, Path of Exile, and World of Warcraft, which is what I tease so many people for being, is like they could only play 3 games. But Raz will play the good single player games like myself, and I think that I've been, this kind of came out of nowhere for me, and then I got the key and I heard people talk about it. I downloaded it, and I'm now like 5 hours in and really enjoying it. So
yeah, I'm now on the goal of no-lifing Persona 5 because I said I've been playing the game, but I've like been putting it off a lot, mostly because of work, so legitimate reasons. But I need to get through it because it's been too long, and the backlog is getting longer. So I need to finish it so I can play Expedition 33. That's the goal.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Have you started Andor, Travis? I know you said you were still considering it.
No, but okay. So I found out that it is the final season. They're only doing the 2 seasons, right?
Yes, and there are 3 more episodes come out tomorrow, and the last 3 episodes were, I think the 8 and 9 were ranked like right now in the top 10 of TV shows, like episodes ever released.
Are they? So they're doing it in 3 episode drops?
Yes.
Okay.
It like every 3 episodes, it's a year getting closer to Rogue One and the events of that and A New Hope.
Okay. Okay, well then I will actually watch it if people feel like it finishes strong, because I think I've talked before about how I've been tired of watching a season of a show and then having to wait 3 years for the next season to come out, and oftentimes it ends poorly or something. So if this wraps up and it's good, I will dive in. But
It's very good. It's been very good so far.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, there's that, and then the other thing that's been kind of fun that I can share is I am a official MTG ambassador for the Final Fantasy set that is coming out next month. And so I don't think I could talk about it for a little bit, but I can talk about it now. They've sent me a bunch of product. I was literally playing the commander decks earlier today, which is really neat. I have them in my possession. They just got revealed today, so I can talk about them now. And then on Friday, I'm doing they've given me cards that I get to exclusively reveal, so stay tuned to Friday, because I will be putting that on social media. So yeah, it's been pretty cool to do that and do some early stuff with Final Fantasy. So working on a pretty cool Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering project that I will be able to share details on at a later time, but it's a collaboration with some friends of mine. So really cool stuff going on over there. So it's been a pretty sick week for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Let's figure out how to get the show going, though. Now that we've talked about everything other than League of Legends, just a lot of fun stuff going on. Okay, so I guess we did talk about this past weekend. What else is going on? So who wants to explain the Sheiden situation, because people are confused about it?
That's just gonna be our first caller, Travis. So we'll get into that right away.
Okay.
I think that in terms of news, Shopify Rebellion, a surprise win. I would say kind of like yes and no against 100 Thieves. That is one of the first wins where we've had a bottom 14 beat a top 14.
Yeah.
Have one call on that already, but a lot of room for calls about the games. Also keep in mind that we have a bracket and elimination game starting next week. So if you guys have any takes on that, fire away. So outside of that, I don't know if we have any news. As was UG confirmed before last episode? I think I want to.
Yes, we did talk kind of generally about that situation, but I don't feel like there's been too much. I mean, honestly, the games this weekend I think will hopefully have a lot of calls and a lot of discussion, because I think they were, especially Saturday's games, were pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So every time I go to the LOL Esports website, it drives me crazy. Okay. Yeah, because obviously Shopify got the upset over 100T. The Team Liquid match, man, I was sitting there. I was ready for Game 3. I was really excited because I was watching in the audience, and then TL just made weird decisions. So I think we'll have a lot to talk about both on the TL side and
it was actually
other sides.
It was actually so funny. Not funny. It was not funny, but like just watching the TL series, I was just looking at the cameras because Jan was still sick. I did the Player of the Week interview with him, and he was sick. I mean, he held up pretty well during the interview, but before the interview, like he was hacking it up. So I was like, okay, well, drink some water if you can, and he did. And then game 1, I'm pretty sure he had a mask. And then game 2, he didn't, because I think, or at least like, I think he was just trying to communicate effectively while just like going through it. But you can just see him hacking it up every time the camera was on him. He was trying his hardest to survive that week.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that will be something. It feels, I mean, we've had a series of events where pro players have been having a tough time, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, there's been a plague going around. I know that NACL had a couple teams that were sick too, and like they're remote, so that's even crazier, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I do also want to give a shout out to PrizePicks and NZXT for sponsoring the show. You can go check out PrizePicks at the link in the description, and NZXT as well. We'll have some cool stuff to talk about in both those cases. But yeah, I think other than that, maybe obviously we're running a little bit behind. We started a little late today, so we can start to get into calls now. But
let's do it. If you guys want to call in Discord chat, GG/Travis at me at Cubby, and let's go grab the first caller.
Yeah. Adam in chat and Discord says, Raz, you can't handle records like that. As a record collector, that was hard to watch. Do not lay them flat like that for more than a little bit.
Wait, what? Wait, lay them flat? Like it's on the bed right now, so I can't lay them flat like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh God.
I don't know.
I gotta start reading some rules.
Big shout outs to folks who subbed. We had Brewy, Hybrid BDP, Christabel for 89 months, and then Spotted Bra. Thank you, folks. Over on YouTube, we have Mochi Teddy became a member. Says, big fan, any book recs? Go take a look at my book channel. And then I'm probably going to read, is it called The Devils, which is the Joe Abercrombie book? That'll probably be something come up soon for me. And then Aaron Bell sent a gift membership. Thank you, Aaron. All right. We have our first caller of the night here, and it is none other than ShakeAndBake, AK. ShakeAndBake, where are you calling from?
Fairbanks, Alaska.
Alaska. Hence the AK, I guess, and ShakeAndBake, AK.
Yeah.
You're basically Canadian at that point.
What do you What do you want to talk about on the show?
I wanted to talk about the Sheiden interview and, kind of my take on it.
All right, go for it. And actually, do you want to explain beforehand? This is what I was getting at, because I think a lot of people might have missed this. What the drama is there, or what the conversation is about?
I mean, he was just really awkward in the interview, and he just came off like really nonchalant and like not really caring, or maybe he just doesn't have, the social skills of some other people.
Okay, yeah. So if anybody wants to go look, I think it's on social media. People are talking about it, where he did a interview, and this is not the first time, because this happened, I think, last split as well, where Jet interviewed him, and he just kind of gave very simple answers, and as if he didn't want to do the interview and all that stuff, and so this happened again. Zale tweeted, well, whatever. I'll go ahead and put your. Actually, no, I will give this context. Zale tweeted, I can't believe how much attention the Sheiden interview has gotten. He asked me to ask easy questions, so I gave him ones I thought would be straightforward, and afterwards he immediately apologized. He was simply nervous. I don't think it's deeper than that. I've seen people saying he doesn't care or his responses were intentionally rude. I didn't get that impression at all. For those who say we should never interview him, we do so many interviews that giving someone who's willing to do interviews experience is a good thing, IMO. We do pre-game interviews, post-game interviews. Players come on the desk. They go feature interviews. They do long-form stuff like pros. We have players talking in so many ways that having one interview that's different is just not a big deal at all in any way whatsoever. For those who were saying the interview went way due to my poor questions, it's something I can always do better at. The intent of my first question was simply to inform both him and the audience of all the playoff shakes and hear if they were caring much about seeding matchup. The reality is that with the format tiebreaker rules that have changed, many pros either don't know the rules or simply haven't caught up with them on different scenarios, so I don't want to ask without any context and have them feel taken off guard. Anyway, credit to Sheiden for trying to interview. So, now that we've given the context, what's your take?
I kind of have both sides of the take. On the one count, I think he should have been more, enthusiastic about his team or like his stances, and he just came off kind of like, man, I don't care, I'm kind of getting a paycheck kind of thing. And on the other side, like, I can get that some league players haven't had a lot of time, like, in front of the camera. Like, Sheiden probably hasn't, because he's kind of a solo queue guy, kind of behind the scenes. And so he really hasn't had the exposure. So that's kind of my take on it.
Well, okay, you didn't give a take, though. You gave two takes. What is your actual take?
Yeah. I mean, my take, I think if I'm on a team and they're paying my salary, I should definitely, go out and kind of be more foregoing or like excited about it. He just kind of like shrugged his shoulders and kind of said, yeah, I'm a jungler. CS is important kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Go for it, Rez.
So yeah, because like I remember the tweet came out that initially banged. I think it was from like Julian Mid or something.
An old CLOL designer, fun fact. That's a Scouting Grounds player at one point.
Yeah, and that man was definitely trying to rage bait, because the tweet itself, the caption was, LTA,
it worked.
Why are we losing fans? LTA Pro content. And then he used this tweet. And I was like, actually, that rage bait worked. You're right. That rage bait pissed me off. I thought I was when I was on broadcast. It was like in between a game. I was pretty sure. And I'm like, how do I respond to this? And I felt like any text response I could possibly have was not going to be good. So I just decided to make a video for it. And basically, yeah. The thing is, basically what Azel had already said is true. We have players featured on all aspects of our broadcast. We have players featured on Pros, which is a podcast that we do after the week. We have them on cast. We have them on desk or the lounge, I suppose. In between the series, we have them after the series. We have them constantly. So when this interview took place, it was top of day, and top of day is like our pre-show. During a K-Corp versus G2 series, so we just did not have viewership at all for this one. So the fact that people even like clipped this one out and threw it out there is already like, okay. So it's like, yeah, that was one of those, and it was like a 3-question interview. It was a short interview, the least like offensive interview you could possibly have.
I mean, he helped make it short for sure.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Yeah.
He definitely made it, like, helped to make it even shorter. But like, the fact that people got mad about this, the last time we had a Sheiden specific interview, and I think Travis, you mentioned the fact that he did it last split. I think it was like more so like Jao was interviewing someone else, Sheiden passed, and he asked him a question. But like an actual dedicated Sheiden interview was in fucking 2023 when he was on Evil Geniuses. It was a long time ago. So it's like, to say that this is why we're losing fans or something like that is the most idiotic shit I've ever fucking heard, and it's just pure rage bait. So that was just that in and of itself pissed me off. But yeah, I mean, he's camera shy or frozen or whatever it may be. Who knows what the fuck it is? But like, we know that he's not good in front of a camera for interviews. Like the interview that I did with him in 2023 when he was in EG, we had revenge, and we thought that would help a little bit, and didn't. And I don't think, like, yeah, the other option is that we never interview him again. Is that a good thing? I don't think that's a good thing at all. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's quite bad. And if he wants to try, we give him the option. Obviously, after this, it makes it very clear that people are not happy about it, but they're not happy for the wrong reasons. Because they're like, oh, he's railroading the interview. He's intentionally, like, fucking the interview up. Or feeling bad for Azil in that moment, where he clearly is like, no, he doesn't think it's that big of a deal. People are being extremely weird about it, like angry for no fucking reason. If you want to talk about, player branding or media training, like that's a completely different conversation. That's fine. But in this case, he's just somebody that clearly has bad fucking public speaking skills. I know I was dog shit public speaking skills when I was in university. And in my first year casting, like, there's always going to be the fears of a camera being pointed right at you, and that he's just different when the camera's on and off. I don't think it's an effort thing. I don't think it's a thing about him like not caring. I think it's an issue of him being just shit at it. That's it. For me, when I watched it, I thought it was funny, and I thought it was like, oh, that's hilarious. It's different. Hopefully, he gets better next time. That's it.
Yeah, I definitely feel you, like, on the care thing, right? Because Sheiden's a player that, I mean, I've obviously covered for longer. Yeah. And I feel for Sheiden in some ways, because there are multiple reasons why this blew up for me. One is obviously it's an awkward interview and it was promoted. 2, just seeing the names on it. Look, like, let's be honest, Sheiden is a player that has been quite a typer in solo queue and has played for a long time. He has definitely made some enemies in solo queue. It has, like, actually hurt him for being on teams before. And some of the players responding to that early on, like, I guarantee you that they have beef with Sheiden in solo queue, and they're kind of using their big followings to also, like, push him around a little bit too. I definitely felt like there was a little bit of that as well. But in terms of the care thing, like, talking to Sheiden, I mean, I literally talked with him, like, right after, like, on the day, and like, he gave an answer. I know one of the questions is about, like, what it's like going up against Inspired. He said, like, it's not anything different. Like, I was talking with him. He's like, yeah, like, Fiber's really good. Inspired, like, it feels impossible to beat, right? Like, after on, like, that's like without a camera on. It's not like he's not capable of giving these answers. Just like, he was nervous. I was kind of joking with him. I was like, hey, man, like, why don't you sit in front of the camera next time? He's like, yeah. It's like, well, at least Pros is more fun. And if you do see him on Pros this week, like, he did talk a lot more. Was definitely a lot more comfortable, even if he still isn't the best in front of the camera. Sometimes it really is just like these guys have to develop that skill. I know, speaking of, old teammate of Sheiden, Jojo Pion, when he was in NACL as a 16-year-old, he would go run and hide from interviews. Like, this is something that EG said. Think of all the trash talk that Jojo said, like, in LTA and still in LEC. When he was a kid, he, like, still had to grow up and actually become comfortable being that person, like being in front of camera, being himself. I think that one of the fun parts about this split is a player like Masu that we have, been disappointed that he doesn't put more of an effort to put himself out there. That's really changed in this split with him just being more active on Twitter and like trying to actually have more of a presence, right? Sometimes that there is a learning curve for these players with that. I feel like we weren't as Sheiden didn't get the same grace as other players for just this like assortment of things, like whether it's like his pass in solo queue, whether it's the fact that he's on Dignitas at a losing org and not like balls in a winning org, like thinking back to that interview with Quanic, right? But I think there are different ways to view this. I think it just got blown up out of proportion. It was a reason to shit on LTA. Everyone's talking about media training. That's not on Sheiden. That's on the org. And frankly, no one has money to pay for that right now. So like, I just don't think that's even a real point. This was a real weird one that people just kind of centered on. And I definitely felt for Sheiden with this a little bit. So, yeah, again, like these players sometimes, like it just takes, they need to develop like this own skill, like for themselves. It can take time. Sheiden obviously hasn't. He still isn't comfortable in front of a camera. But like I've seen people struggle with this. I feel like Azael in the broadcast did a decent job of like trying to get it out of him, and obviously he just didn't. So yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you go.
I'm going to disagree with a couple things with you guys. So I remember that Jad interview where Jad interviewed him, and I remember being so annoyed because I'll get to sort of my explanation on this. The way Sheiden comes off in these interviews is like, it feels as though, especially with that Jat one, I remember it felt as though he was intentionally trolling the interview. And I remember afterwards, there's this moment where you see him in the background and he like looks at one of his teammates and the teammate laughs and he laughs. And it felt to me, I remember being really annoyed about it because I was like, it feels like he just like, haha, I fucking trolled that. And it's because I don't think it is true that he's trolling, but it's an unusual situation where normally, because I've interviewed so many pros, the awkward, shy ones, you tend to know that they're being awkward and shy or like they're uncomfortable because they're like stuttering. They just come across very anxious. Interestingly enough, even though it seems as though that is the case for him, I don't feel like it comes across that way. It ends up coming across like in a weird kind of apathetic situation. So funny story, at the start of the split, we haven't released anything from this footage yet because we were just waiting to sort of put it together. We've been releasing the other surprise test, but I did some interviews with some of the players where I asked them questions about their goals and all these different things. Just we're going to see how we're going to put it all together. But I ended up talking to him, and I was like, "Hey, like, I forget how I approached it, and it was not on camera, but I was like, do you hate doing interviews because it felt like you didn't like to do that or whatever?" And he's like, "No, it's not that. I just like I'm not good at them or whatever." And his teammate who was in the room was like, yeah, that was not him trolling it. It's like he's just not great at it. And I was like, okay, I understand now. But I can I'm not surprised that people feel as though it is a player who's like trying to put in any effort or no effort. Raz, you said like, should we just not interview him ever again? I feel like until Sheiden is in a place where he can do a live interview with like longer answers and stuff, the answer should probably be, let's put him in some pre-recorded stuff. Like, let's not do live interviews with him.
Like, you're not going to like this. That was pre-recorded, by the way. I'm pretty sure that was pre-recorded. We've changed those type of interviews to be pre-recorded instead of live because we don't want the players just standing around waiting for the interview to come to them. So there's less standing time. Like, I'm pretty sure it was because like we've had that problem before now.
Yeah, I guess when I meant pre-recorded, I mean like, let's have him sit down behind the scenes with somebody, or let's have him be more in like the little pop-ups that occur on stream. Actually, I guess I haven't seen those for a little bit. I don't know where those went, but like the stuff that is pre-recorded behind the scenes, not to make it appear as though it's like a live interview, even if it's
this week was live. This week was live. Never mind, that was live.
Oh,
Wait, what was the change? Why was this week randomly live?
Okay,
They change it
Twitch,
up every week now.
There
They
are
change
Riot
up-
producers in the Twitch chat that are live fact checking Raz's lies on stream.
Because last week was pre-record. That's an internal thing.
Okay.
It's fine.
Anyway, the
It's
point is, I think it makes more sense for him to do for him to be interviewed in situations where, like, if the answer's not good, it just doesn't get included, right? Or he feels like he has more time to give a long answer, or the interviewer can be like, "Can you please expand on that?" You know. And then hopefully he gets to the point in time where it is live, because, like, while I agree that the reaction was over the top to this stuff, and I think, you know, it was the rage bait tweet was well done. It's like, I'm not going to fault people for seeing interviews like that and being like, oh yeah, this guy doesn't give a shit, which is bad for him. It's good, bad for the broadcast. It's bad for the interviewer who takes heat. Like, so in my opinion, like, let's wait a little bit on him being able to do live interviews in the short term. Let's try to do these things.
Yeah,
you know?
Of course. It's like, honestly, this is the take now because everyone has had such an irrational fucking reaction to it. That's the sad thing about it. Like, people are now so fucking mad for no reason. Like, I don't even know if I'm not gonna even dignify one of the guys with the response in my Twitter, but like, because now the reaction's probably gonna be, we're gonna wait. And the reason why we're having we brought him up for an interview, by the way, clear reminder, 2023 was the last time we had a solo interview with him. That was the last time we had a solo interview with him. Just want to make that clear. Was because he's performing. Like, if you look at Thanatos right now, who is the best performing player in the last few weeks? Like, it has just been Sheiden. Yes, there are other players, but like, so I think, so like, to not ever bring him up or speak to him, then you're just gonna have an organization that just like doesn't have as many fans at all in comparison to the other orgs, and you don't.
Wait, you're saying Dignitas could end up being an organization that doesn't have as many fans as the other orgs?
But no, the end of that statement was, because that's already the current case, is that their best performing players, some of them now we're like actively avoiding because it's, you know, the current situation, and that we don't want to ever talk to them. So it's like, I think it's so shit, because literally this is the slot on the broadcast where you give them the time. Literally, K-Corp G2 is happening at the same time as Top of Show, where we have the least amount of fans. We're giving them quick questions. I was like, that's crazy that that's the reaction. So yeah, it's actually sad. That's kind of like the takeaway. So it pissed me off. Also, yeah, all of his interviews, Cubby can attest to this, because I think you were there for the interview when he was in NACL, where it was just, it's the same thing. So for people to come out and be like, oh, this guy is purposely doing this, when every single interview he's done has been that, but of course, like, getting better gradually.
Yeah.
I mean, but are you guys okay? I am surprised. Look, I don't think that the hate and all this stuff it makes sense, but I am not surprised that people thought he's trolling. Like, and you say all these interviews we've done with him, but Raz, like, the average LTA fan is not like, I remember watching this guy when he was on EG, or I remember the Challengers interviews that they've done with him on the Tier 2 broadcast. Like,
Bill, at least remember the one from last split.
Yeah, or like when he's like, this guy has AIDS, like saying that on broadcast.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that was the thing. That's true.
My point is like, my point is like, I think there are ways to get Sheiden exposure on the broadcast that don't involve live interviews that will potentially be controversial.
Yes.
And to your point, if Dignitas really feels like, hey, this guy's really popping off, we want to make sure that he can be more than, like, I know media training is like crazy, but like, just, you know, it's not that.
Yeah.
Somebody could sit down with the guy, you know, and I'm not saying nobody hasn't, but like, I feel like it is a mistake to keep trying to do live interviews with him. Of course.
The thing is, that would have been the conclusion anyways, but now we had a fucking national incident, which is gonna make it feel like worse.
You guys should turn it into a meme. Like, I truly feel like the way to do it is just to embrace it. Where like it just becomes like a meme and a joke where like they get Sheiden to like comment on silly things. You know, it's like, give me your jungle analysis. You know, and he gives like a 2-word answer or something. Like,
I'm not gonna lie. That was already kind of a thought process.
Well, I'm glad I could help you come up with it, Raz. So when we all see on the broadcast, it's a meme. Thank God Ryan is listening to Travis's Hotline League suggestions, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
what's up, Carl?
I was just going to say, I feel like it's a thin line between awkwardness and, like, intentionally trolling. You know, like, his body language could like seem like he's just doesn't really care when he's just really awkward, and people are like misunderstanding it. They're like, oh my god, he's like purposely trying to make Azael look bad in this interview or something. I don't know.
All of his body language, by the way, is like, that is clear indications of a person being uncomfortable. Even though it's like, because literally like hands in pockets, like, you know, touching your hair, not giving eye contact. Those are things where I'm like, I'm being perceived.
Yeah.
So like, it's nervousness. It looks 100% like nervousness. I was surprised that people looked at that and thought, and we're so uncharitable to think the opposite. To be fair, taking a step back, yes, Sheiden does not have great history if we're talking about solo queue. Like, there's a lot of reasons to look at him being like, branding issues, but I wouldn't look at the interviews and be like, this has to be the problem. I never want to hear from him again. I'm like, all right, well, unfortunate.
Wait, I was gonna bail out of this topic because I feel like it's gone on super long, but I realized I can use this as a sounding board for an opinion I've had for a while that I haven't figured out how to bring up without making it seem like I'm shitting on you guys.
Oh,
the majority of the casters, and I'm gonna include Raz in this, you know, and I mean this in a playful, endearing way, you know.
I'm gonna
like, we're all friends here. I invited you to my birthday party next week. You still haven't RSVP'd. But a lot of the casters don't do the best interviews. And I will say this because, Raz, the amount of times that you or any of your compatriots go up and you ask, how does it feel at the start of this, like the first question, it makes me want to walk out. I'm going to dox myself a little here.
And Travis interviews, by the way. This coming from Travis and Travis interviews. Have you ever never started with a how does it feel? What does that mean?
No, not in the last
Travis,
like 10 years.
All of your interviews. Travis,
not in the last 10 years.
All of your interviews.
Not in the last 10 years.
All of your interviews, by the way.
That after a loss, too. You've been like, how do you feel?
No.
Literally,
I've definitely not said, how do you feel? I will ask questions like, hey, I wanted to check in on how the team is holding up afterwards. It is actually a very similar question. But like, how does it feel? Is like it's like such a cliche that it tilts me off the planet every time I see a caster do it. And they all start, like, half the interviews I watch on the broadcast starts with how does it feel?
Travis,
and I'm always
we're gonna have to do a VOD review of your own interviews. If we're gonna talk about VOD reviewing interviews, I'm gonna VOD review all of your interviews.
I am not VOD reviewing your interviews. I'm not VOD reviewing your interviews. I am only saying I wish people did not start with how does it feel? And people lead on it so much.
Once again, actually, on a serious note, it depends heavily on what they call the actual series itself or the games themselves. Like, for instance, like if we have the Saturday games that are back and forth, like for instance, literally the last couple Cloud9 games where they should have fucking lost versus Lion, and they absolutely should have lost game 2 versus Team Liquid, and you have like an actual insane experience like that, or the Shop 500 Thieves games, I think it's actually a fair thing. So it depends. If you're leaning on it for the sake of leaning on it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. My request is the one that will stop me from having an aneurysm is like, I just wish people would come up with more creative ways of phrasing it, because like, how does it feel is so, oh my God, I'm trying to think of like an example of a commonly said phrase that's just like over and over and over again, where it just becomes what's that?
How are you?
No, it's not. It's not like how are you. It's like it's like the, I don't know. I have no idea what a cliche would be, but just something that like is used over and over again as a phrase that drives people crazy. Like, because I know why people go to it. I'm not trying to single you out, Raz. I'm not even singling out the LTA casters, but I know.
Yeah, you're not even. It's fine.
I know why people go to it, but it becomes like the like, as an example, when people want to mock me, like my friends or people I know, they're like, oh, I'm Travis Gafford. And then they go, how does it feel? Blah, 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 blah. Like, because it's like the trope, right? And so people just go to it immediately. So I don't know, whatever. That's just my soapbox for the evening on interviews is, okay. I will say that I know that the post-game interviews are always going to suck because you just have you have like 2 minutes to ask 3 questions, but so I don't envy the people that are in those positions, but how does it feel? Makes me want to jump off a cliff.
And they're acting like it's the first awkward interview. We've had tons throughout LCS. We've had Dyrus, we've had Balls, Lemonation, like the list goes on.
I use Unforgiven as an example. That was here 2 years ago. Like, that's probably the most recent one. I remember when Degon was here doing interviews, that was like, people had an issue with that one. Like, it just happens, guys. Some people are awkward in front of a camera. think people just need to recognize that a little bit. Saint gave an awkward interview same day, I think. Well, that's different.
That's second language, though.
That is different. I think.
Yeah, that's different.
Actually, there was a great comment from it was actually Quidward, a Quid fan on Twitter, that said like he didn't have a problem with those interviews. He had a problem. I mean, when I say those, the Sheiden interview, he had a problem with like Korean interviews because he was like, "Oh, it would be great if we had a translator." It's like that is true. I think there are a lot of Korean players that, you know, we don't get to hear them in their native language, or we don't get to hear the full breadth of like their knowledge because obviously they're fighting against like a second language, which sucks. Like we haven't heard from Henna yet, but at least in that case, Lion does have a translator, so we can. I remember in the Player of the Week interview, they were leading in with the idea that it was going to be translated, but Saint himself wanted to use English. Saint is like a great example of someone who's like, he actually has access to a translator whenever he wants to, but he wants to be able to speak English. Obviously, Impact is the same. He's been here forever. So like, I think at least in this case, the Korean players that we have outside of Henna, but Henna's has the option of using a translator, prefer using the English language when going through their interviews. So it's like that one is honestly a fair conversation that was never brought up.
Yeah, and even Impact's like used Korean for like promo videos and stuff like that in the past. So I think that's a good example of even a player that has been around for that long and using English for that long, like still wants their native language. Like that definitely puts into perspective, you know, what other guys who haven't been here as long might want or need. So shout out to Saint though if he wants to do it in English. That's always I sucked at language in school, man. That's pretty impressive that kids are able to like come over and do that. So
Shake and Bake, thank you for the call. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Nope. Just shout out Lorlo. I mod for him. He's the man. So that's about it.
So you did have somebody you want to shout out. You said nope, and then you gave a shout out.
Okay. Yeah. Shout out to Lorlo.
I'm just trying to keep people accountable the same way the Riot producers are in the Twitch chat keeping Raz accountable. All right. Thanks so much for the call.
As they should. He needs a leash, you know.
I'm being surveilled.
All right.
The LTA NSA, you know.
We're going to take a quick break to talk about NZXT. NZXT's been a fantastic partner of the show. Really appreciate having them around. And there's a link in the description if you are not familiar with their stuff. I know that we've been talking about them for a long time, but it's still a great time to go check out their PCs, their hardware, their accessories over at nzxt.co/Travis. One of the things I like about being able to talk about them every week is I get to remind you all, the code is Travis5. People always message me. They say, what's the code again? Or I see them in Discord chat. They're like, what's the code again? Travis5. You can also always find that link. If anybody ever can't find the link for some reason, you forget that it's in the YouTube, you can also always go do !NZXT in my chat and you will find it. But thank you so much to NZXT. Yeah, so they are fantastic partners. I've been working on an unboxing video. We've shot it now. I'm getting it edited of the new PC that they sent with the 5090. It's the 5090 edition of their player PCs. So that's pretty sick. I've been actually that's something I can speak about. I've been playing Expedition 33 on the 5090, and boy, is it just a beautiful game whenever you can just crank everything on max settings with a fantastic PC from NZXT. So thank you so much to NZXT for powering Hotline League. They are a wonderful, proud PC sponsor, and I'm proud to have them as a sponsor. And I was talking to them earlier this week about some stuff, actually, I guess last week now. And they just, on a personal level, I just want to say that those guys have always been so supportive of me and everything that I'm working on and doing. And I think, you know, sometimes you have partners that are there to support you financially, and we're doing all that stuff. But you also have sometimes you end up lucky and you get partners who are just great people to work with and care about how things are going and all that stuff. So really, really shout out to NZXT for working with me and being so wonderful. So thanks, guys. Cool. All right. On to the next caller. Cubby's off to grab them.
Let's do it.
Thank you to Macda Ace, Park Mom, Spotted Bra, Tameable Bread, Dark Retribution. Wow, Scam Train just started, it looks like. Oh, it's going. A Scam Train is going. We've got 3 minutes left on Scam Train if anybody wants to sub. Dark Retribution, Oh Hi Vega. I think the Scam Train must have started whenever I started saying that Rez doesn't know how to interview. That's interesting. chat seemed to respond really positively to that. Bob and George, thank you for me gifting a membership over on YouTube, or thank you for gifting me a membership over on YouTube. That's very nice of you. C-Sears with the 29 months. Let's see if we can get to level 3. Cubby should be back here in just a second. Numi messaged me with a really disturbing screenshot from the chat. You guys shouldn't say things like that. All right. We are back now with our second caller of the evening, none other than Buttercup. Buttercup, where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Ellicott City, Maryland.
Maryland. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yes, my take was that depending on this week's performance, both team-wise and individually, between Shopify and Team Liquid, I believe that Fudge and Contractz can guarantee, or more or less shoe in for the third team All-Pro slot over Umti and Impact, respectively.
Ooh.
This is a spicy one.
That's spicy.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a really nice one like this. I like this a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying depending on this weekend, right?
I think so. I also think, I personally think Contractz has already proven enough to be voted over Umti and River, but I think winning over Umti would definitely solidify it.
Yeah. That's crazy. Let me see. Let me think this through.
I think that Umti's actually had a pretty good split, which I know that he's been a little bit hot and cold, but overall, I do feel like Umti's played better this split than past. Even if on paper, I feel like Contractz would be the one more likely to maybe sneak out in All-Pro, but I actually think that Umti's been good enough where he just wins it. But
so I assume that we're talking about C9 and FlyQuest players getting most of the ballots.
Yes.
For Team 1 and Team 2. Is there no World Buttercup where you have like a 100 Thieves player or somebody else on any of these other... You kind of make it sound like it's like a 3-team race, and that like between TL, C9, Fly, and that it's really here that Shopify can start to steal stuff. But is there nobody else that you think could be up there?
Not really. I'll be honest. I'm a certified 100T hater. They're so, I feel like, inconsistent with their performances. I know that they're all about like fighting, and I just feel like I just don't like their playstyle, to be perfectly honest. I feel like the teams that have better macro and maybe that could outhands them, they could like beat them. And I think that with this past weekend, obviously Shopify beating them, I think that kind of proved it to where like I think Shopify had better macro on the day. And I think, I do think River is a great jungler. I just think that maybe just this split specifically, I think Contractz had a better split overall. I also agree. I like Umti a lot too. I think Umti's had a great split compared to last split. As for the other positions, Sniper, he's great. He's a great guy, a lot of personality. I just feel like he could always do more. And like, I feel like he groups up with the team too much. He could always split on side lanes more. Who else is on that team? Quid. Quid's Quid. Quid's great. I think this split, I think APA has been performing better than Quid overall. And then we've got FBI and Ayla. Now Jan's been killing it this split. And then Core. I'm not actually sure about support. No one's kind of really been outstanding on support.
Well, I don't mean to distract you too much because I know you were talking mostly about top and jungle. So
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I sent us off into.
By the way, your take is great. So like, I'll start off by saying
it's interesting. Yeah.
The top 2 that I'd go for top lane and jungle is like, yes, but both Thanatos and Inspired Blabber.
I think I want to vote for a third top laner. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have a ballot, but like I feel like it's actually just a dog race for third All-Pro top. Like the difference between Whipple and Thanatos for us has been extreme this split.
It's very, 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 very hard. It's so hard. I think I might just throw in a fucking Impact ballot anyways, because out of all the top laners, he's still been consistent, and we've been comparing him to his MVP split. But like, if you actually go through it, it's probably still him. But Fudge is definitely making a running for it on the back half of the split.
I still feel like he was part of the throw against Dignitas, because I am thinking of the Gragas game. I know that's getting picky. I think that Fudge has had good games too, but that factors into the consistency.
Lil in Twitch chat asks, is Licorice not in this convo?
I don't think so. I
He's
actually
not laning well enough.
Yeah, Licorice, I think, out of positives that's happening on Lion, Licorice is, once again, he's good, but he's having problems, of course, in lane, and oftentimes I think Lion's problems in mid to late game is that they overgroup, and so he's missing out on a lot of farm because he's doing the same. It's probably just going to be impact, but on the jungle question, absolutely, I think Contractz has...
Okay.
I think Contractz.
Okay.
I actually think Contractz. I think the problem is Umti is performing in the second half of the split. And there's not a lot of games.
Umti's been better since the UG announcement, or like since the rumor started. He really has, actually.
Yeah, and he had one great game in the positioning phase as well. He was just inconsistent throughout that part of the split. But since going into groups, he's been playing really well. And if he plays well in the next phase, the cross battle, dude, this split is so confusing and how you determine. But yeah, if he does well next week, then it might just be Umti, but I'm leaning on Contractz because the reality is for Shopify Rebellion, the most consistent player on that team has just simply been Contractz. He's been like put in a position to carry, put in a position to facilitate lanes early. Like if they lose, a lot of the times I look at Contractz and still think he's doing a great job. Audi is a great point. Director Donut mentioned Audi has been good. So Audi can have a stake in it too, but I think it would probably be between Umti and Contractz for me. If Audi has a great week next week, then sure, it's an option. But yeah,
I'm down with you, Raz, in saying that next week and that matchup like might just determine it, because that's also, I know that something that is actually real to think about is recency bias with the ballots. So if we feel like it's coming down to Umti and Contractz, and like one of the two just completely gaps the other in that match, I mean that could actually impact who wins, right? Yeah.
Rez, I want to let you know that the sun is set, so we can't see you at all. I think you probably
look. You can technically see me. I'm just in the dark. All right.
Look at the pearly whites, man.
True. Okay, I'm turning on the light. I'm turning the light.
The pearly whites look good. What you got right now, Raz?
Yeah, I like this take a lot too. I think it's really cool, and I've not seen anybody talking about this too much, so I think it's a pretty cool conversation to have. I mean, the thing is that we still have a decent amount of, well, I guess not really, because voting will occur. Will ballots go out? I guess to echo Raz's earlier statement, I feel like this split's so hard to track. Will ballots go out after this week?
Almost certainly.
Yep.
Almost certainly.
Yeah, it should after this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then are we officially in playoffs at that point in time?
So after next week, we're in playoffs. Because remember, next week is the positioning for playoffs. It's funny that we're talking about positioning because every aspect of this regular season is positioning. Positioning phase for groups. The groups is positioning for the cross battle, and the cross battle is positioning for playoffs. I'm like, So
I gotta say the C9 FlyQuest match. I mean, I think that both those teams have absolutely zero motivation to like show any cards in that series. I think they're gonna pick the most standard shit of all time. And that's just gonna be that series for me doesn't really matter. I don't think the teams are motivated to show anything really.
It's the most hype match of the weekend, and Cubby coming through and just being like,
it doesn't like they're actually motivated to hide their cards. I really like. What do you actually get from being the 1 seed besides side select against that team later on? Like that's negligible for holding picks. I really feel that way.
What a buzzkill. All right. So back to this. Yeah. So Buttercup, I agree. I actually do think there's a chance. I mean, I think Raz is being a little more generous to Impact than he could be. There was a match 2 weeks ago, I think, that they played where Impact was like pretty disappointing. I'm trying to remember which game it was. And obviously it's like it was that one match or is this a consistent trend, but I definitely don't feel like he's been doing as well, and not just from his MVP split, but just also in kind of just in general.
I think the best one, like actually thinking about the next best top laner, Fudge could have a running, but it's probably just Sniper. Sniper's had some great games that didn't turn into player of the games. Like his Jace performances so far this split have been great. The problem is, I think people are coming into this with like pre expectations on what this top laner should perform like. So when they see Impact and they should, like, he literally just won an MVP last year, They expect him to still be at the top. Last split, pretty good in regular season. Obviously, the performance internationally was not great. They expected him to come in and just be one of the top performing players, but no. The reality is, his position is like as a top laner. There are going to be other top laners that can easily reach him. I just don't think Castle's performed well to make that. I don't think Licorice is in that position to make that. Surdy definitely isn't.
Yeah.
Like it's just so it's basically two coin flip. And the only other top laners I could possibly think of is Sniper and Fudge. And Sniper, I think, has had better performances more frequently. But Fudge's last couple weeks have been good. So it's like...
I was going to ask, Raz, because I think sometimes I'd like us to talk more about the games on these episodes, and I feel like I've been struggling to get us into that mode. So just as a quick question, what do you think of his performance on Saturday against C9?
Trying to remember whose performances, just to be quick. Oh yeah, oh god, why did I blank out on that one? That impact was fine. I actually don't remember his laning phase at all.
I'm trying to remember. I thought the first game, like maybe I'm throwing it off, but I thought the first game he had a pretty rough laning phase.
I'm just really down with this caller to just be like, hey, I think that
it was not good.
Next week could actually like have a real impact.
It was a Rumble and York games. They're not good.
Some of these are just not.
You're trying to make a pun.
I agree with.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Go for it.
When you guys do your all-pro voting for lanes specifically, do you guys focus more on individual performance compared to other people in the lane, or do you think about like that specific laner's impact on the team as a whole?
I try to focus on individuals because I think...
Oh, did we lose Raz?
Yeah, we might have lost Raz.
We lost Raz. All right. Well, that was sudden.
I don't get a ballot, but I've done one in the past, like on stream. It really just kind of depends on the role. But you have to be able to somewhat isolate the individuals from the team, but also like you are balancing out the impact on lane and the impact like later on. It doesn't matter how well you lane if you're not able to win the game, right? Or like you throw later on. So
yeah, I tend to do it as like a bit of a blend where if I feel like this player has had like a huge impact on their team, then that's something where I am considering it. But also if somebody's just like a huge, like a Titan in lane or whatever, then that gets me points, or I give them mental points as well. So I tend to go off of just an overall feel for them. And I look at stats oftentimes as well to sort of see where my intuition is correct and to try to hedge against recency bias. So, and sometimes I gut check it with Cubby. So while Cubby does not get a vote,
that's true.
He does get to influence my opinions on stuff. I'll be like, hey, I think this. Do you have any sense on if I'm wrong here? Am I forgetting anything? So
he gets a pseudo vote.
Yes, he gets influence. Well, hopefully, so Raz just left the Discord, so hopefully he comes back. I don't know. I'm assuming the internet just cut out or something. So hopefully
he just couldn't handle the question, I guess.
Oh, in chat he says I blue screen.
Yeah, he panicked.
Okay.
Your question cut too deep. I mean, might be a banger interview question you could ask for LTA too, Buttercup. Yeah.
Okay.
What Travis talking about.
Yeah. Buttercup, anything that you want to shout out here at the end, or anything you want to add?
Sure. Before the shout out, I'll just quickly add, I wish I could have done a little bit more research with stats and everything, but I don't really know how to do that. I just went on like the Wikipedia or the Leaguepedia or something. The only thing I had was that both Umti and Contractz are tied with Player of the Series votes with 2 each, and then of course this past week Contractz won Player of the Week, which I don't know if that holds any weight when it comes to that kind of voting or points or any of that stuff, but just wanted to add that point.
No, I'm sorry. As a quick aside, I completely forgot. Yeah, Contractz had a banger weekend. I felt like the steals that he was getting in game, like that was just sick. I really enjoyed his performance. I just wanted to cut in there because I remembered that I forgot to say that. Sorry. Anyway, continue.
And then for shout outs, I had this all pre-planned in my head, so let's hope I don't forget anything. First, to shout out PrizePicks and NZXT for sponsoring the stream. Goated brands for sponsoring. Shout out Travis for always producing great content. Love the videos, interviews, surprise tests. I try to watch all of them. Shout out Cubby for pulling my take and also talking about sports ball all the time. Appreciate it. Shout out Raz for always keeping it real. And then shout out Emily Rand, Shocks, Lore, G Sun, Basil, and then all of the women in esports. Go women. And then shout out FlyQuest. Big fan of FlyQuest.
I think you did pretty good. I know you said you had it all on your head, but I feel like that was a pretty good lineup of shout outs. So
it's a good take too.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye-bye.
That was fun. Well, I kind of want to stall right now just make sure we can get Raz back in here. Hopefully he says
I'm in.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great.
I'm so sad. I wanted to answer.
You want to give it now, Raz?
You talked for a long time. We didn't need it.
That is true. That's true.
I kind of said it's a split between both. Just depends on the role. I'm sure that you would have been kind of close to that too.
I try and do just the individual thing. Because we have an MVP vote for who's most valuable to their team. I just care about how they play individually, and it sucks because a lot of the times League is unforgiving. So if your jungler fell behind and your mid laner got blown out, then your top laner is not going to do well for the 8 minutes onwards. So it's kind of hard to do that. But yeah, that's mostly it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think we're ready for the next call if we want to go grab
Got
them.
it.
Shout out to, I don't know what happened, but we had a bunch of really cool folks all sub at once and then give a ton of subs. So Click Kirby became a member over on YouTube, and then Silly Shadow, Hybrid BDP gifted a sub, Godzilla Gorilla for a whole year. Thank you so much. Says this says 1 year, but I swear I've been watching you for a decade now. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think I've been doing this for a decade. I'm only 27. Nice
Gorilla,
and
don't check Twitter.
Nice
Somebody
and
saying
toasty.
that you won't make it in League. You just won't make it in the scene, Godzilla Gorilla.
Nice and toasty and spotted bra. Thank you so much to both of you for gifting 5 subs. I don't know what encouraged both of you guys to drop 5 subs together, but I really do appreciate it. Thank you. MsTimed is here. MsTimed, where are you calling from?
Good evening. I am calling from the Pacific Northwest.
Pacific Northwest. What would you like to talk about on the show?
And I can back this up with more if you'd like, but my take is just this. The career of Contractz makes me want to paraphrase Billy Beane. How can you not be romantic about Pro League of Legends?
Okay. What I like the setup. What is the what's the take?
Well, look at it, his whole career. He started out as the young hot thing on Cloud9 2017. I think he got Rookie of the Year, and I think maybe ended summer like the 2nd place going into Worlds, but then they made the run to quarterfinals, did a close 5-game series, World Elite. He was looking on top of the world, but then he fell down almost immediately to Golden Guardians, back-to-back 10th place, and got relegated into Academy before coming back through EG, I think. Following up into CLG, into NRG, and he had the highs of the 2023, again, quarterfinal run. And he's always been a player, whenever you see him on interviews, on stage, he wears his heart on his sleeve. And just watching him play, watching him be part of the scene, reminds me why I love the game. Reminds me, the bonds you feel with your friends and fellow teammates. He's always shouting out his teammates, and it's thinking about him as a whole career, and it's especially good this past week because he's just coming off of a win. I don't know. It makes me nostalgic while also excited for the future.
Yeah, Contractz is an interesting player. I remember for a while when he would have kind of this thing where he would be really bad split 1 and then really good split 2. That was kind of his trend for maybe like 3 years. I feel like that's changed maybe more recently, and I still feel like he's been inconsistent at times, but it's always great because when you catch Contractz at a high, he's doing really well. And I know we kind of talked about that just now in this last call, but similar situation, just like feels really good.
As an uncultured person, who is Billy Beane?
It's a Moneyball reference.
Yeah. Even I know
Oh.
Moneyball. You don't know
Oh,
Moneyball?
I've seen Moneyball. I've seen Moneyball.
Yeah.
But I still don't know who Billy Beane is. What
Wasn't he
happened?
played
He
by?
was the
Yeah.
GM of the Oakland A's. Yeah.
Wasn't he played by
okay,
Brad
that makes
Pitt?
sense.
He's the Brad Pitt
Oh, that makes
character.
sense.
Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind. That makes complete and utter sense. Okay, there we go. We're back. I'm back.
Got you.
Okay, I appreciate that.
All right, Rez, now that you know who he is.
Yeah, I can start. I mean, like, Contractz is an incredibly relatable player in how he does wear his heart on his sleeve. I remember when he came back into the league. This was because he was on 100 Thieves for a little bit, 100 Thieves Academy, and then he went to Evil Geniuses Academy.
Yeah.
And then he finally got to, like, he was swapping times with Svenskeren, and he got to play his first game. It was like at the end of the season, and he had an incredible Diana performance. He was
I remember that.
He was nailing it. He got MVP for that game on his first game back.
Interview was awesome afterwards. Very emotional.
Yeah, he was very emotional in that interview. He was crying throughout that interview. He's somebody that I don't, because I said this in the weekend, I don't know a player that cares so much about every single game. Like, it doesn't matter if he's like, he could be playing in the MLB with their demonic 200 game regular seasons, and he will like care about every single game so deeply. It's pretty insane. Like, he will always show you his emotions. That's true. But yeah, he's somebody that you definitely want to cheer for that reason. He will always let you know how he's feeling at that time. He's, you know, funny, witty, like everything that comes out of him is something that you love. So yeah, I think he's great. He's a great player for sure. Great in the sense that, like, he is somebody that you want to befriend. And also in terms of his gameplay, you literally never know what you're going to get out of him because he's such like a flow state kind of player. He tries to feel out the game state a lot of the times. And so you either get, you know, the NRG season that we had in the past where it was not great, or the NRG season where he was whooping Yike's ass at Worlds. So it's like he's having a great split right now. So
yeah, if anybody missed the, I know it was mentioned several times on the broadcast, but if anybody missed it this past weekend, he tied Xmithy for most Baron steals in LCS/LTA history. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I know that oftentimes it's said that jungle is a very deep or the deepest role that we have in North America in terms of talent. And I think just putting it into perspective, like Blabber and Inspired have been running the region now for a few years. And there have been a lot of junglers that I think have tried to topple those guys. And I could actually make an argument that no one has been able to more consistently outperform them potentially than Contractz. I don't know if River has been playing long enough where that's the case, and also they haven't had the most success against those players. Like, I feel like Contractz, of course, he has games that are up and down. I actually really like, there was an old coach that said, there's no player in the league that I'd rather have playing a losing draft than Contractz, which I feel like really speaks to him and like his style of play, right?
That's cool.
Because he is going to take risks and actually be able to find ways to win in games that are tough. I really feel like last season, NRG, like their failures were not on Contractz. Felt like he was kind of playing with a couple deadweight solo laners, sadly. And it's good to see Palafox, who has really upped his form a little bit. And for me, like the biggest thing with SR, I mean, kind of looking big picture, I really was hoping that Damonte coming in would kind of wake up the humans in that team a little bit. I don't think I've ever seen more emotion out of Revan with some of the cams that we got from him.
Yeah,
behind the scenes. Like that's actually something where, again, I really feel like Damonte is a good like cultural leader to have in the building, and to have Revan, someone that I feel like is a little bit more reserved. And one of my knocks on him and Shopfire Rebellion in the past has been like, hey, you work with players that you have worked with in the past before, and we haven't really seen that success yet. Man, to see them like really start to come into their own, it feels like, and like halfway through the split, and have Damonte, I feel like that was a good addition, because I've always really respected Revan's brain for the game, but I know for a fact that Damonte can really lead people. I think that is the combo that SR was looking for, and it feels like that's actually been able to start to hit a little bit more as we get further into the season. So I think that's a good sign for SR in the past. Obviously, Damonte's worked with players like Quan and Palafox in the past too, so I know this is kind of folding it into something else, just having SR, show some more positives. But any Contractz called as a fun one to take. I know you had this one last week, MsTimed, and glad to get this one in, because I do really feel like he has quietly been one of the most competitive junglers like since he came back, and that road back and just the fact that he does wear his heart on the sleeve, it makes him a player that I really enjoy rooting for. And I just find myself saying I will always root for Contractz just because of the game he plays and who he is. I think he is a very entertaining and interesting player, and a good player at that too. So, yeah, definitely appreciate.
He's also the first.
Hard agree.
He's also the first person to like tell you what he did wrong in a game. I remember I was like setting up for an interview. He's like, I was really far behind because I was looking for a play that didn't exist and I got counter jungle or something. That's something like, so he's.
Is that what he said when you asked him how he felt?
True. Maybe in your interview, I don't know, but I think he's such an open person. He'll tell you exactly what he cares about. He tweets regularly. He's like the type of person that I mean, this is the most obvious statement of all time. Like the type of person you want in your league, on your team. Mm-hmm. Like we've for a while now complained about, for good reason, you know, players not putting their branding out there. He's done exactly that. But he's been around for a while, and he's always great at being able to show people why he cares. So it's fun.
That is cool. Yeah, no, I really appreciate just the celebration of him as a player, because I feel like, one, we probably don't spend enough time celebrating players on the show. But two, he's just been such a mainstay of North American League of Legends, and I do feel as though he kind of flies under the radar at times. You know, obviously there's been a lot of times where we've been really happy for him, or he's been having a spotlight season or split, but in particular, I think just recognizing what he's been able to do for so long. And it sounds like Cubby, you were saying that MsTimed had this take last week, but I feel like it's actually nicer that we have it this week because of the standout performance he had this weekend.
Yep.
So
when Emily said that Contractz carries the spirit of KT, that was what kind of prompted me to make.
Take.
True.
Yeah.
That is kind of true.
Yeah. I think it would be, you know, we'll see what happens, but it would be cool if LTA was able to spotlight him a little bit more as one of the faces of the league. I know it's tough to do it with players that are not in the
his
top
drive
teams,
episode was fantastic. If any new fans haven't seen that, those episodes are always great. Contractz one was great, just like every other one. So, but yeah, I'm with you, Travis. He, like, very quietly, again, has not been a top jungler, but has been the jungler most competitive with the top junglers, and there's been a lot of rotations out there. So I think that he really deserves credit for that over time.
And to your point, Travis, I've always just wanted, if we're just talking about personal wants, Shopify success is great because they just have great personalities. They got great people that will always tell you exactly what they want. Like when Fudge was on Pros, that was great. That was very eye-opening. He was very, same with Contractz in general. You can say the same about Palafox. But if they're just perma-losing, then you don't get to do that. So we definitely would love to have like a face of the league be Contractz, but they got to have some winning ways. Thankfully,
no, it's tough. I get it. 100% I get it.
Yeah.
Get good is what Raz is saying. Okay. Thank you, MsTimed, for the call. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know Cubby mentioned it earlier, but I gotta shout it out. Andor. It's the best Star Wars we ever got.
Yes.
It's so damn good. I'm unbelievably hyped for the finale tomorrow. It's bittersweet because I would like one more season. But oh well.
So tomorrow is the finale then?
Yes.
Okay, I can start watching it soon.
Yes, very based.
Yeah.
So yeah, rebellions are built on hope, which, speaking of which, shout out to 100 Thieves for giving Shopify Rebellion hope. In the third game, they picked MF when they desperately needed more engage. Too bad Riot never released a champion for 80 carries that help shore up your engage. It's anyway. Shout out for 100 Thieves for going that route. I appreciate them. I'm hard on them, but I do love them. Anyway, thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks, MsTimed. That was fun.
Have a good one. All right, we've got two callers to go. I think we can do one more, and then maybe we'll take a quick break, and then we'll wrap up with our final caller. Huge shout out to Ixbix for the gifting 33 subs, which brings Ixbix to a lifetime total, I'm almost embarrassed to say it, of 2,600 subs gifted on the channel.
Oh my god!
Yes, Ixbix is very, very generous. I don't think anyone... in the past, I've had a lot of people who've been very, very generous on the channel, but I don't think anyone's ever gotten to anywhere close to 2,600.
Travis, call him your sugar daddy. That's what it is.
You know, I try not to think of our relationship that way. You know, He's a patron of the arts, and what I do here are the arts. Okay, we've got Jake here. Jake, where are you calling from?
Hey, Travis. I'm calling from Lawrence, Kansas.
Lawrence, Kansas. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So, I want to talk about the Cloud9 versus TL series on Saturday. It was a great series. My take is that Cloud9 definitely deserves credit for seeing the opening to turnaround game 2. It wasn't just TL throwing it, which they definitely did. Which I do have kind of a breakdown on that fountain fight. If you want to go over that, but then the real take is going over Thanatos and how he is quickly developing into one of the most impactful top laners in the league. Like I probably trust him to take over a game from the top lane position more than any other top in the LTA right now, specifically because of how well he accesses the back lines with champs like Gnar, Renekton, and Gwen.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you said you want to talk a little bit about the team fight. Do you want to explain?
Yeah, so in game 2, when TL was at the fountain at 34 minutes with a 8k gold lead and also had Baron buff. So if anybody wants to kind of like follow it along, you can go to 34:26 as the timestamp. So at 34:26, you see like Jan and APA both use their ults, the Ziggs ult and the Lucian ult, for really like nothing. They get Blabber down to like half HP, but he just goes back to the fountain to heal. So then you fast forward 10 seconds, Impact takes a Nexus turret like super quick with a massive wave crashing into the other turret, and TL should have backed off right here. So they've got 2:19 left on Baron, 25 seconds until Drake spawn. They could easily like reset, take Drake, and then get one more Baron push before it expires. But instead they decide to keep fighting. So then Blabber comes out of the fountain at 34:46 and starts kiting Impact, who decides to chase a Lilia. Great move. Thanatos and Sven start hitting Umti, and Thanatos is using the Skarner to charge his Narbar. Then at 34:56, Thanatos goes Mega, and he hops in and gets a double ult onto both APA and Jan. Loki goes in and assassinates Core JJ on the Melio to let the ult stick, and then C9 obviously just cleans up the fight from there, right? And then they go on to take the soul and eventually the game. It was just it was definitely a throw from TL, but the moment that they overstayed, Cloud9 was really, really quick to see the way that they could actually win that fight and get back in the game. So they deserve credit for that. Be like, you got to admit TL through that. So that being said, like, going in about Thanatos, because that's really what this call is about, is that he has a just deep enough champ pool on like Gnar, Renekton, Gwen. His Aatrox, his Mbessa are okay, but like you really can't ban out all 3 of those top laners against him. And he consistently finds ways to access backlines to have huge impacts in team fights. And with how like team fight centric the game is right now on those late game objectives, you just like have to mark Thanatos and be constantly aware of where he is. And even if you do that, there's still a good chance that like somebody else like Loki will find an angle because you're so concerned about marking Thanatos. I just feel really great about where he's gotten to since the summer last year. And, it's just great seeing his development. He's super charismatic in his interviews, and I hope he sticks around the LTA long term because he's going to have a great future.
All right.
There's a lot there. I'll just start with the actual end game point. I think Ziggs is trolling. Why is Ziggs? Like, if they're actually trying to end the game, why the fuck is he anywhere near the enemy jungle to like try and mark an Aurora that's miles away? You're the actual damage on turrets.
Yeah.
Like, you should just be
played
there.
so well that game until like then too. He really chucked it at the end.
Yeah, so then you have to TP into the base, out of position. Yeah. Like, we're playing around Jan. And you actually, like, Lilia in this game, I think, is so fucked because, like, you're going up against Melio with ulti, and you have to walk past a Skarner to try and get any level of engage. So it's tough. It really is tough.
So you think he should have just been, because it's interesting because I remember the casters on broadcast were like, oh yeah, he should have stayed in like on the edge of the jungle trying to make sure that he couldn't get in or whatever.
To zone him. Yeah. I mean, technically you can do that if you want to rely on that. I think that's fine. You could also just have confidence that if you ball up as a group, like how do they actually engage on you to get to Jan? Or you could have someone else be marking him. Like, that's my thought process. There's multiple ways, by the way. You have 2 super minions baroned up walking into the base. There are multiple ways to do it. I think TPing on the wave coming in and being out of position that makes it hard to protect Core JJ or Yan is the literal worst option. So like, there's multiple ways you can do it. That's fine. I'm not gonna argue which one's the best one. All of them work, but yeah, that's one thing. So that was my take on it. There's also another angle where they were trying to rush with one with the turrets respawning, pretty sure, and they could have APA like just be there to disrupt bases and ulti the Baron themselves, and they probably end the game. Like, there's a lot of ways in which they could have ended that one, and I think they obviously chose the wrong ones. So yeah, I there's a lot there, but I also believe that, you know, that was a tough one for them. Impact, if I'm remembering this game slowly but surely, wasn't having a great series overall, but also Yan was fucking sick, by the way.
Yeah.
Just in general. And he was the one they're playing to protect. So I think that was just really tough for them. And they haven't been playing well up until this point. C9 is genuinely the better team that's having weird games, weird early games.
I know I gave C9 a pass for last week just because they had like a really weird practice week. Of course, Vulcan was like flying in last minute. I know that like RV2 also experienced tragedy in his life, so it was just a weird practice week. I know TL being sick. I don't think I can give him the same hall pass. I don't know how it impacted their practice, but obviously they weren't 100%.
Yeah.
I just think that the thing with C9, that like their strength at the moment, I mean, Thanatos for me is just the top laner to beat, has been all year. Like pound for pound, all year, split 1, split 2, Thanatos has been the best top laner in the league. And for me, looking at him last year to now, he doesn't get lost in sides anymore. And I wasn't ever sure if that was a Thanatos issue or a language issue. Whatever that issue is, it really feels like it's been fixed. And honestly, it ends up being a good pickup for C9. I mean, everyone knew that Thanatos was a pretty good player. There was a lot of surprise when he wasn't actually an LCK. Now, I think that down one going with Siwoo, I feel like that was the right call. Like, this is why we got Thanatos here. But for C9, still finding that pickup, it does feel like they got a really strong player, and he's been pounding out well. So, I mean, props to Thanatos and C9. They still look like, hands down, one of the best teams in the league. And I know a lot of fans will look forward to that match against FlyQuest. I think my biggest thing for C9 is just, like, this has been a team where for the last couple of splits, they have been better in regular season than playoffs. And I want to see them have a good playoff. I also think that their pools have been probably the most narrow stylistically compared to other teams. Obviously, it's been working for them, but in a best of 5, like, you're going to have to look at an Enchantress support. We haven't really seen Vulcan play that yet, and his role is mostly engage. Like, you're going to have to play some different stuff if you are pushed and it goes the distance. So I'm sure C9 can play it. We just haven't seen that on stage yet, right? And that's going to be, I think, the only question given the trends that C9 hasn't been able to show up and make it to the international events. It feels like that really is all they have to break to get them to an MSI, which it feels like they're really a favorite to do right now. So, yeah.
Here's my coping take. That's probably, I mean, it's a fair take. I'll just start with the fair take. So if we're comparing C9 this regular season to the other regular seasons, sure, they generally have great regular seasons. Like the Jojo Pian regular season was great. The M&S
split 1.
Yeah, exactly. Like the M&S years, I mean, they won with M&S, but they had, I think, more limitations within those rosters because M&S was very clearly not going to play like control mages or any, like they were going to play that early game centric style with like LeBlanc and like LeBlanc, Elise, whatever the fuck. Like
I mean,
we're not
LeBlanc and Malachi was so troll too. Like I'm just remembering the 100 Thieves series. Yeah. Like, and but again, like that.
With, yeah, exactly with JoJo as well. This is different. Like now Loki, I think, is more well-rounded. Way more well-rounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could I ask you guys one question?
Go for it.
Do you think that the changes in the game becoming more objective-centric is helping out C9 in general and Thanatos in specific?
I mean, to be fair, I think that the biggest change for me on this patch is Grubs being pushed back 2 minutes, which for me makes things less objective-centric and more options to the jungler. It feels like you actually have options to interact with a lane now. It just is going back to the old timers. I feel like if anything that benefits C9 just because of the strength of Loki, Thanatos, and Sven Vulcan too, who I think at times don't get the credit they deserve. They've been really good this split too. And like that is the Blabber special, right? Just try and be the most efficient jungler. It felt like in the last patch, with 6-minute grubs, you always had to be the most efficient jungler just to be the strongest for objective fights. Now it's you have a lot more opportunity to interact with lanes. That is the strength of Blabber, with his ability to just be efficient across the map. So I think it helps their solos, if anything. Like, their solo's been playing really good.
But to your point, like, I think going into this year, when grubs were at 6 and all these things were happening, that should have been worse for C9, because now they're being pulled into fights where I thought, just like for the past year or two now, we're a worse team fighting team. They're a worse team fighting team versus, like, okay, I mean, they beat Golden Guardians, but I thought Golden Guardians, FlyQuest, Team Liquid, like, but it feels like they truly worked on it and that they were actually a truly great team fighting team this year. That being able to play around Grubs, Herald, and Drakes have been much, much more improved. So I think it's something they probably actively worked on, and I think it has been a strength to them. Now that the fact that to Cubby's point that it's changed now, the old timers, they were already great laners. I just think C9, every time I say this, it turns to bite me in the ass. I think C9 is like the best team right now. They have better, more consistent laners. Actually, Cubby, I thought that Whippo, for the Shopify Rebellion series, I thought Whippo was the best top laner, because he was having really good lanes, like not just statistically, but also
that
just
was the York game, right? Like he 1v9'd that, yeah.
His York game, his Vlad game. I mean, I felt like almost every one of his games, he's really carrying, and then obviously the Shopify Rebellion series happened, but then even this week, his Nidalee games, like he's playing well. But now it's between him and Thanatos. And Thanatos has just been really consistent in lanes overall. So this team is great lanes, and they've been great in team fights. These last 2 weeks are a little weird. Might change my mind. We'll see how the cross group battle next week turns out, but they have a lot going for themselves.
Like, to be fair to C9, I know that we set it up as they haven't reached the expectation we had for them in past regular seasons going into playoffs. This is the split where I think it's most likely that they hit their expectations. There actually feels like there is a bit of a gap between them and TL 100 Thieves and the rest. I just think that, again, going to best of 5 Fearless, I don't think that this team has shown the biggest versatility in terms of styles. And I know for a fact that FlyQuest, like, they have that, right? But we don't doubt that. It's just, can C9 really show that if it does go late? That's something I'm actually looking out for, because, again, I think that they've been pretty narrow in terms of the style they played. And rightfully so, it's worked out for them really well. But you cannot do that in a best of 5 Fearless, so yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see how things progress with C9 as things go forward. I mean, I definitely feel as though... I mean, it's kind of funny. I feel like things keep flipping back and forth with them, because if I recall last week, we were kind of... There's a lot of negativity towards C9, and I know they'd had a tough week, both on the personal front, but also, you know, potentially because of that in-game. But it feels like there's much more optimism this week. So we flip-flop back and forth every week. We'll see how things go.
If I was there last week, I would have been glazing. I would have been glazing if I was there last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Obviously, that was rough for Lion, but I would have given the
Yeah, I gave him a hall pass last week, and
exactly.
I feel like they've earned it. Yeah.
I'd give him the pass.
Yeah, if you don't,
this pass.
If you don't love the C9 flip-flopping back and forth, you don't love Blabber.
True. I have an interview with him, actually. It's getting edited tonight, I think. We've a little slow on getting the interviews up this week, but that one's a pretty fun one. Jake, anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Yeah, I want to shout out the LTA North production team, specifically the play-by-play commentators. Captain Flowers has been absolutely leveling up his game. It's extremely noticeable that he is continuing to work on his craft. And Mark making the exclusive executive decision to bring Kangas back this year after guest casting last year has been a fantastic addition to the play-by-play team and to the lounge. So. Love Kangas.
Yeah, it's been fun seeing Kangas around the studio too. He's always just such a lot of energy and positivity.
He's too fun. It's infectious.
You know, other people like Kobe, Azael, Captain Flowers, they're also old. You know, you see them kind of
in the mud. Yeah,
hobbling around the studio with a cane, and
yeah. Anytime I see Kobe in the off, he's like, "My back." That's what he says.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I see it all the time. The apartment, he's just struggling to move around.
It's actually not fair, like how naturally charismatic and camera-friendly Kangas is. Obviously I get to work with them for a few years. Like just really natural from him.
Dude,
so
Kangas at the after party this week comes up to me. He's like, "Do you want any small CLG shirts?" Because he's just carrying them around, handing them out to people.
Yeah.
And I found out that he has a storage facility that he's rented to store all the CLG gear that he's giving away. Which is crazy.
It's so funny how he just has all the CLG stuff now.
Yeah.
I find very funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been a lifelong CLG fan. He has.
Every week he comes in, he's like, well, Energy's gonna throw it away, so I'll take it. I was like,
but it's crazy that he's rented a storage facility just to ensure that this stuff gets to CLG fans. So I think he's been tweeting about it, by the way, folks. I know not everybody uses Twitter, but I don't know if he has other ways of contacting him, maybe Instagram, or I don't know if he's been streaming much lately or whatever, but he's been saying that he's trying to get stuff to people if they're willing to pay like shipping or whatever. I don't even think he's really trying to make a profit off it. So
no, he's not. Definitely contact him if you want stuff. I'm kind of waiting to see what's left over. I gotta head over there one day and see if I can snag anything. This jersey was a gift from CLG, but the first team I was a fan of was CLG EU. So that's how I got into LoL esports.
Yeah,
old school team.
Yeah, go hit him up. I'm trying to find his tweet where he put about it, but I know that he's getting CLG merch out to the masses, so it's kind of cool. All right. Anyway, thank you.
OG CLG fan. Oh, go on.
Thank you so much, Jake, for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, Travis. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, thanks. All right, time to take our last break of the evening as we get into our final call after this, and that is to shout out PrizePicks. So I know, folks, some of you may know this, but I have, if you haven't watched it in a little bit, I have a nice little video that I like to air that explains how PrizePicks works, makes it easy, gives you some visual stuff. So we'll be right back after this video. This video is brought to you by PrizePicks, the best place to win cash while watching your favorite esports or sports. So I'm going to show you right now how this works on the app. It's super easy to use. So maybe I like Jojo Pyun at more than 9.5 deaths over the first 3 games of his series. And maybe I believe Mickey X is going to get less than 31 assists. I'll go ahead and hit finalize lineup, where it'll show me that if both these things end up coming true and I play an entry fee of, let's say, $20, I'm going to end up winning $60. PrizePicks is available in over 40 states, including California and Texas. And if you sign up, use that link below. It's a big thing that you can do to help me. You can use code Travis whenever you make your first lineup of $5 or more. Win or lose, they're going to give you $50. Now, please only choose to play PrizePicks if you can do so responsibly, but doing so and signing up does help my channel very much. And you can actually join the discussion with other TGI viewers in my Discord. We have a PrizePicks channel. If you're trying to get into it, that's a great place to start. So thanks so much to PrizePicks for sponsoring this piece of content. Cool. Yeah, as I said in the lovely pre-recorded message, thank you so much to PrizePicks for sponsoring the show. Make sure that you use the link in the description to go sign up, and also make sure you use code Travis when you do, so that they know that we sent you. They've been a fantastic partner of the show. I've really appreciated them, and it's been really cool to do stuff with them. We're looking to bring back the show. Still working on stuff. Speaking of sponsors, XBix just dropped another 100 subs in the chat.
Whoa,
that's so crazy.
XBix, man.
I think XBix has gifted to the majority of the people that are watching right now.
That is crazy.
In the middle,
that's my sugar daddy.
Okay, we got it. I'm sorry, PrizePicks. I don't mean to interrupt. XBix is trying to mog you right now, but I'm right here with you, PrizePicks. It's okay. Thank you, PrizePicks, for sponsoring the show. It's been fantastic, and please go check them out. Download the app, give it a try. You can do so on. You don't need to download an app. You can use the browser too, but they've been awesome. And thank you, XBix, for the subs. I will talk after the show. I'll keep the stream on for a little bit.
Call him Dada.
Try not to do it now. 100 subs is crazy. 2,700 went from 2,600 to 2,700. Holy moly. Okay. We have our last caller of the night. It's none other than Adam. Adam, where are you calling from?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm currently calling in from Hollywood/Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Hollywood/Fort Lauderdale. The start of that made me think, oh, he's close. And then the second part of it not so much. What do you want to talk
America
about on the
has
show?
no creativity, by the way. We just name everything the same thing. There's an
What?
Ottawa
Well,
in
I'm not even American. Just
California.
here for a good time.
Wait, what? Wait, where are you from?
I am from Toronto, Canada, but part-time I am in America. But,
All right,
you
that's
know,
my
we
brother.
represent the Great White North, obviously.
Hell yeah.
The superior country.
That's
in
what I'm
North America.
talking about.
The actual real North American country.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways.
Hey, Adam,
We're
thanks for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we say goodbye?
Just know that America is our shirt, by the way. You guys are just an accessory.
True. So real.
Then what are you doing
Before I
with
get my
Alaska?
stick off
You're
the call.
letting it hang off your ear?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's an earring. It's an earring.
What do you want to talk about on the show, Adam?
So my take is that adult-tailored sponsorships for the LTA, like gambling sponsors and alcohol sponsors, should be allowed in the league. It should be allowed on team jerseys, on broadcast, on any outlets that are applicable. And I don't think us as the fans or the league should be in the business of telling advertisers our stance on morality. I think it's time to take in the fact that the league fan base is aged. We're getting older. We should look at the successes of other sports leagues where adult tailored sponsorships are extremely prevalent. And there are a lot of financial avenues and channels that I think the league is not exploring currently. I've had this take for a few weeks. Funny enough, it looks like LOL Esports and Valorant Esports is now partnering up with Coinbase, which I linked as a part of my take. On this week's Hotline League. And I think there's just plenty of successful examples that already exist. I think there are plenty of applications, like putting it on the Rift, that we've seen other sponsors and other outlets take place as well in the LOL Esports space. I was thinking of like the PrizePicks power play on Baron, or the FanDuel solo duel, like a solo kill in lane. And I just think there's a lot of ways to do this. Those are primarily sports betting outlets, but obviously there's casinos and alcohol, and I'm happy to elaborate. But I was happy to see that Coinbase is partnering up with LOL Esports and Valorant Esports.
Adam, how long have you watched League Esports? I gotta ask.
I have watched League Esports since the LCS's inception.
Okay, so I have to ask, do you not remember the Bud Light sponsorship?
The Bulala?
I do, and I think I even referenced it in my take about the Bud Light Ace.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's stopping alcohol
okay.
So this is my confusion:
right now.
is that I feel like you're like, we need to allow these sponsors in, but we've been allowing them for a while, right? FTX, rest in peace, great organization.
Well, Travis, there are a lot of limitations on gambling sponsors right now.
Yes.
Which
So
that's like the one limitation that I think the fan hits on, because there's no limitation for other sponsors right now.
yeah. So I think there's limitations on alcohol sponsors as well. By the way, as we just did, there's a PrizePicks as a sponsor on the show. They are categorized as daily fantasy, I believe, specifically, not necessarily.
Yeah, that's correct.
So just to caveat that. But
Can I hit you with a counterpoint just to
yes,
hit you back on what you said? I'm not saying that the league is necessarily completely opposed to this, but I feel like they're waiting for the ball to drop on Reddit, and there's going to be a sponsorship, because there's been other air quotes controversial sponsorships with like the LEC. And again, I'm not advocating for these sort of sponsorships. There's partnerships with groups in the Middle East that I don't necessarily agree with. Clearly, LOL Esports has no problem these days making those sorts of jumps, but I don't want the fan base to come for the LTA's throat when this product is not a successful product from a financial standpoint. I don't find it acceptable that this is a marketing outlet forever, and I want to see this product turn into a financially feasible product, and we already know from other sports leagues that this is the route to do it. So that's
not a counterpoint. My point is that, like, I hear you, right? Which is, you're basically saying, like, look, there are too many restrictions on sponsorships in the league. We need to be able to open doors to new brands that we've historically restricted in order to like keep this thing going. I would say that Riot seems to completely agree with you because they've been going broader and broader and broader on what they're willing to do and what they're willing and who they're willing to partner with for a while. And I think some of that is, like the jaded people will say like, oh, it's just because they want more money now or they're whatever. But I think the other part of it is that the audience has aged a lot. So in, 2012, 2013, if you brought Bud Light in, there's a good chance that you'd be showing Bud Light ads to a lot of people who are not legally able to drink. Whereas now I think there's a lot of people that are in their late 20s, early 30s, much like myself in my late 20s, early 30s, who are able to where it's less of an issue to advertise these products to those people. Oh, sorry,
I do.
XBix just dropped another 100. I'm gonna just.
Oh my
I'm not gonna look at chat for a little bit. I don't.
Our goat.
The
That's
XBix, the market rebounding is apparently making XBix very generous.
He just saw the news on the tariffs.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. The market did well today. We kind of podcast listeners are bemoaning this man right now. Okay.
Travis is making money, guys.
Yes.
From the audio listeners, Travis is making bank. Daddy XBix is going crazy.
The True Gambling sponsor is seeing if you get a gifted sub or not in the TGI.
Oh my God. XBix could have got an NCXT PC, but
XBix
instead
is the house.
dropping all this money on my channel, which was like very, very generous. But thank you so much. Holy moly. We're going to be opening some magic packs after this. All right. I'm locking in though. My point is that I already think we're there in terms of letting these sponsors into the league. And I don't know, like, I guess I don't know who you're trying to convince right now, or like what you're trying to convince of, because I feel like we're already there.
Happy to answer that. I think I'm not going to speak for the other guests on Hotline League tonight, but as avid sports watching fans will agree on, and as a prime Raptors fan, okay, growing up, it's okay. We've seen tons of alcohol ads since I was just a boy. It didn't crush my spirit. It didn't turn me into an alcoholic, and it's just part of the name of the game. And I'm not saying, okay, if the product is primarily advertised to children, which I was a child in 2013. I was just 13. I can see what you're saying. But these days, we're all old, and it's time to just let the floodgates open.
Okay, but we agree, right?
Sponsorship. Yeah, no, and I'm not trying to brainwash you. I don't think
you guys agree.
To get on board. I want the whole fan sentiment on board. And I think I'm with Raz. I think you're being a little abrasive, Travis.
I think fans
are abrasive.
You're being a little angry, Travis.
Hey, fuck you, buddy. No. Okay.
No, wait. So I do think the difference between is like the extent. Like he wants the floodgates open. He wants like a gambling like sponsor on the damn jersey.
Okay, here's why you can't do that.
I want it on the Rift.
Adam, you can't do it because of the fact that the reason that when you have these more limited or regulated partners come in, and you don't see them on jerseys, and you don't see them in the game and stuff like that, it's because they have to be digital assets that can be removed from international broadcasts. So because the regulations in different countries prevent you from being able to do this, you need to make sure that you can display them in a way where you can send out the feed to, if you want to have like Brazil, for instance, LTA is now America's, right? Brazil might have restrictions on these things that we don't necessarily have in the US or in apparently Canada, where you're from. So like that's the reason why you see them as more digital inclusions rather than physical.
That's fine. Happy to see them anywhere. And if it means having them on the Rift and having a different feed for different outlets, then so be it. I just want to see the floodgates opened. And I don't feel like it's not that I'm necessarily trying to convince you, Travis. I mean, clearly PrizePicks is on your stream. You clearly have, you've clearly been swayed already. Shout out to the GOAT, by the way, PrizePicks. But this is the future of this sport because it's already the future of every other sport. And I have YouTube open right now, the YouTube chat. Maybe I shouldn't be reading it, but I can already see some people are rubbed the wrong way. And I know if tomorrow there were a bunch of, adult tailored sponsorships on the league subreddit tomorrow, they would be calling for the LTA's head. And I don't feel like I have to convince you three on the panel. I really want to get the fans on board. If they want to see this product succeed, I think we need to sway public opinion. Who knows what the LTA is up to? Maybe they are reserved on certain partnerships that they don't want to take because they know fan sentiment might not be good. I mean, again, happy to talk about what happened with Coinbase. Riot was super quiet on what that really is going to mean. I mean, their little, I don't know, blog post is like 3 paragraphs long. Doesn't really describe much, but I can see there's moves being made. I'm saying open the damn floodgates and go nuts and fund this product, and it doesn't have to be in an egregious way. But
Raz,
I'm
would
ready to see it
you
happen.
wear this on the broadcast if
underwear? Fansly underwear?
Is that Coinbase underwear?
Why does it say Fansly? Why do you have a Fansly pair of underwear?
Travis.
I'm just saying
Peter
we're talking about adult-oriented
Gafford.
sponsorships.
Gaff.
Would this be, so I guess if you spend,
Gafford.
so basically,
on the side?
I guess once you hit certain spending limits on Fansly, they send you merch, and so that XPix money, it immediately talking about adult sponsorships.
Does does Travis Gafford Industries have another business on the side? Is this what you're telling me?
Raz, you know how tough esports has been.
Okay.
All right. I'm trying to listen. I'm trying to open a different type of floodgates than what Adam's talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. My take is, I think what we're trying to do is have a target. Like, I know what our obvious audience has become, but our obvious goal is to create a new audience. I don't think it's a positive thing that I go to a Valorant game or something because sometimes when I'm bored and there's no League of Legends happening and I'm right next, okay, I almost doxed myself, and I have to travel to the studio. Then I just see kids, I see children, I see people who like to tap heads. I'm like, oh shit, that used to be a League thing. We want to appeal to more people in general. So like I beer sponsors, whatever. I generally don't care about alcoholic sponsors, because I think we as a society do a decent enough job. Of being able to handle alcohol. But the problem is generally gambling. I think gambling is like so unregulated at the moment, especially online gambling, that one is tough. That one is very tough. So that one, whatever. That one's an actual problem that I don't want to like have it plastered everywhere. So I'm kind of against that. But money is money. I don't want us to go into the wrestling world because I'm a wrestling fan, and right now there's like every other event being held in Saudi Arabia. I don't want that shit to happen.
That's true. I know originally, like on the show, when Travis took the stance of not covering EWC, I said that I'd rather take gambling money than that money, right? And look, for the caller, like opening up the floodgates, I think that the floodgates have been open. Something that hasn't brought up is that in order to have an alcohol sponsor in the U.S., you got to be able to prove that your average audience age is over 21.
Oh, okay.
So like that is actually it took a few years for League to actually get an alcohol sponsor, and I feel like that was it, because you're right about the aging audience. Look, I know that there are still limitations on gambling sponsors. Like, for example, Tier 2 teams are not allowed to have them. I actually understand that from the Riot perspective, because there have been issues with match fixing in the past, and it's really tough to relegate that from their perspective too, because they obviously don't want to have any issues there. And also, like, I do have an issue with LeBron James able to promote people like player parlays with the partnerships that like NBA and some of these like stadiums have now with gambling. Like, I don't think it's good that you have like DraftKings within the Chicago Cubs stadium, which is going to happen. So like there is a line to draw on this. As someone that when I was living in Chicago and like I go back home, I like to gamble for fun. Like before I had to sign any contracts as a caster, like I like to gamble for fun. Like I think that there are lines that still have to be drawn. That said, No, right now, I don't believe you're able to have a gambling sponsor on your jersey for the LTA, and I wish that they would actually change that. I'm okay about that. I believe that is a rule that I've like
Yeah,
heard
I
talk
think,
from
but
the
as I
teams.
said earlier, I think it's because of the restrictions are on where the show gets broadcast.
Then you can just change it depending on where the show is. If they have to remove their gambling sponsor, if they're going to travel to a certain country, that's fine. If not, then again,
I'm
that
talking
is
about the
a
broadcast
door.
specifically. Like if people are in, like when Bayano is streaming it, I think it might be an issue that there's like a sponsor on a
I don't
jersey or
know
something.
about that. I don't know about all that.
I just
So
remember that was the
maybe
issue they
I'm
had with crypto before.
okay. Maybe I'm not as educated there, but I know that that's a limitation that teams have expressed frustrations with, and I don't know all the rules and relegations behind it, but that does seem like I don't feel like that's bad putting that on a jersey. You see it elsewhere. I don't want a lot of in broadcast promotion. Like there are some that are egregious or not. I know I was watching like a clip from Cage Roll of him watching the CS event, and they actually had the broadcast like they shrunk down the HUD of the game and
Oh
then
God.
flew like player props on each side and like scrolling up as the betting sponsor. Like that's really intrusive. I don't think I want something that is that intrusive, but also I do think that Riot's being very careful about how they incorporate this. I feel like maybe a little bit. I'm down for them being more careful than what I've seen with other games, but also I am down for them to kind of ease up a little bit. Like I'm okay if it's on a jersey. I just don't want it to be like taking over the broadcast like that. Like for me, that's too much. So there is give and take here. I'm actually okay with Riot being a little bit more on the cautious side. I think that they've done a good job of protecting their IP, and that is valuable moving forward. Like I don't want this to be Fortnite. So yeah, like there are pros and cons to this, but I in general I am down for easing this up a little bit. But so I feel like the caller has some points there.
If I may, I,
Yeah,
I I know I'm a bit of a yapper. Didn't want to elongate this take a little too much, but
you're good.
I think uh, I think there's a good I think there's for sure a middle ground where we can all agree. Like I don't think an entire HUD or all the player scores should be plastered with player parlays either. And I could agree with you. It's a little uncomfortable to watch LeBron drop player props. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah.
But the league can learn from other leagues' mistakes and still let's look at our goat here, Travis. He's got prize picks on here. You know, it's doable. It's doable to have prize picks on a broadcast. He's big in the space, some would say. But, I think there's a lot of space to start integrating these partners, help them fund the league, help our players get paid, have the fans and the community be engaged. We're actively using the PrizePicks channel right now. Shout out to the PrizePicks channel. And I think there's a lot of good creative ways to do this. I would, leave it up to the professionals in deciding on how they want to proceed. But I think it's okay to admit, hey, the fan base has gotten older. Other leagues are really successful at this. Let's take a look at what works and what doesn't, and take a stab at it. That's my final take really on it.
Yeah, I actually don't think you're that far off from how Riot feels about this stuff too. I feel like it's only a matter of time until Riot is on with one of these things, and then you'll start to see the stuff on the broadcast. I don't actually think they're holding back because of lack of interest, and I think or lack of interest on their end. I think, and I definitely think that if they could get Smirnoff or Bud Light back or any of these types of things, they would definitely do it. So I think we'll see more of that in the future. But Adam, anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Yes. First, I'd like to shout out Travis's PrizePicks channel on his Discord. We've fostered a little community going on there. We got a lot of guys who are happy to help people choose awesome squares and bet on their favorite players in games. And make sure you do use Travis's code. Travis, this is where you plug your code because it's
I plugged the
essential.
code already. I don't want to turn your whole call into an ad, but I appreciate the promotion.
It's essential to keeping our little PrizePicks community going. And shout out to you guys. You've all been consistent faces uh, in the space. Raz is Canadian, so there's a little bias here from my end. But I've been watching Travis literally since 2013, since I still needed, my parents to help me walk to school, and here I am as an adult, a full-time gambler. watching Travis. So time flies when you're having fun, and shout out to Travis.
Thanks so much for the call. I really appreciate the promotion, and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Take it easy. The Trojan sponsor.
I promise that person.
Hey, that's LPL. LPL is a direct sponsor.
To my understanding, that person is not a person who works for PrizePicks or anything like that. They are active in the PrizePicks channel, but I just want to make it clear that people don't think that was a planted caller after the PrizePicks call.
I don't know. You should see my PayPal after that one, Travis. Mine has some side business going on here.
Okay. Well, that is the show. I wanted to give a huge shout out because throughout all of that, Ixpix was just spamming 100 bombs on the show. I think how many did he give? 1, 2, 3, 4, 433 subs. That is more than the amount of subs I had when I started the show. I think when we started this episode, it was like 350. And he single-handedly more than doubled it. I also want to give a shout out to Nino for the member drop over on YouTube. Thank you OFWG Sam and Ewok as well, and Austin as well for the subs. I want to make sure they don't get crowded out in Xpix's crazy bombs, as well as Steel Cam and Viochi and Taco Bell. Like we're back up to sub numbers that I've not seen for months. So that was very, very cool. Xpix is essentially a sponsor for this episode. So very, very much appreciated. Yeah. Thank you. Let's do a round of shout outs though. Cubby, what do you got?
Shout out to a couple folks that walked up to, like, Raz and I actually had someone walk up to us to say they were a Hotline League fan yesterday at the tailgate. So it was really fun to be there. Definitely a little bit bittersweet for me. Like, going to the studio, it was really fun. Like, always running some of the NACL players, like Masu, Busio, Sheiden, and Surdy were hanging around because they had pros. And just to see everyone there. But it was cool to see a full stadium yesterday, as I want to say it was like 85 to 90% full. And definitely made for some fun. So yeah. Anyway, that was fun for me this past weekend. This next weekend, I have my sister coming into town, and then I go to a wedding. So I will see you Monday. I will have some games to catch up on while I'm in the plane. But excited for that.
Nice. I'm glad to hear you're off on an adventure this weekend. So
yeah. Oh, and NACL playoffs coming up. I still cast on Thursday. So yeah.
Rez, what do you got for us?
Hey, that fan that came in that talked to both of us, Cubby. What was the message that he wanted to send out, huh?
Oh, I don't know. What was it, Raz?
Something about Travis being a part-timer. Can't make it to both days, huh, Travis? You only have to make it to one. that was happening.
He wanted to see you. Yeah.
He wanted to see you. You weren't there. What happened, Travis?
Well, I would say that I was there on Saturday, so I guess they're a part-time fan because they could only make it to one day instead of two.
A fair comeback. I mean, broadcast is fun. Gearing up for playoffs, that's great. I saw Sinners. Sinners was great. It's going. Basically, I've been trying to.
That was so good.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I liked it. So, yeah, I don't really have shout outs. I realized I just said that I'm doing the intro again. But no, shout out to the callers. Shout out to the show. Shout out to apparently the PrizePicks, the goats. You know. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Raz, for coming on. Ours.
One more shout out. Do you guys know who the shout out's gonna be of?
No idea, Raz.
Daddy Xbix. All right, that's it.
Daddy Xbix. Raz, am I seeing you on Saturday at my birthday?
I've got bad news, Travis.
It's walking. I don't want to dox either the birthday thing or your home, but you can walk to it.
I will miss it, Travis.
Bad news. A week before your invite, I already had a birthday invite to another friend literally at the same day, same time.
I will say, you have gone to this place before, Travis, and I have been able to attend. I will be bummed that I will not be attending because it's a fun little spot.
Literally, two birthday parties for the literal same day. Technically, yours start 2 hours earlier, so I might be able to go to yours for like an
stop
hour
by
and then
mine.
hop over.
Stop by mine, because mine is like a chill kickback. If you're gonna, I'm sure
Okay.
if somebody else's is starting much later,
Kickback.
then that one's gonna be more like a party. But like mine
True.
is just like come by, grab a drink at the bar, hang out, have a good time.
Okay, that's good then. That's good.
That's a
I
nice
can
little
definitely do
spot.
that. I can definitely do that. I generally don't trust myself, but I think with your events, it's usually more relaxed.
It is.
Any other time I try and do birthday hopping, it's the worst thing possible because it turns into one event I go in, everyone's like, shots? As you're walking to the first shot.
Yeah,
Like,
my
shots?
thing is
Like,
not
I
that.
just brought
My
these
thing
4
is like,
shots when I-
hey, go grab a drink at the bar if you want and come and talk to people. So
It is
it's
fun.
fine.
Yeah. I visited a lot with Jake from Jake and Joel last time. He's a really nice guy. Gives me some card sleeves too for one of your events.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, there's always good people at my birthday stuff, so you should come through.
Okay, I'll check it out.
For me, everyone, please tune in next Monday because next Monday is my actual birthday, and we'll be doing Hotline League. And if nobody shows up to my actual birthday Hotline League, then it's like nobody showed up to my birthday, and that would be depressing.
Travis, I never celebrate my birthday. I'm gonna put it out there. I never
Why?
celebrate my birthday. I just don't feel. I like the calm nature of it, and I think it might be a deep-rooted type of thing. Because anytime growing up there was like a birthday thing, there's always gonna be drama in my family.
Yeah, it sounds like a trauma thing. Like you gotta.
There's always some bullshit.
I'm with you, Raz.
I like a chill birthday. I actually like.
Is your birthday public? If I search Razlaplasm,
It should be. It's September 28th.
But mine's public, but I never post about it. So I try and go incognito. But
Raz, why
as I've
don't we
gotten
should
older-
just go grab dinner or like do like a drink or something. There's not going to be any drama involved in that.
Usually, also that's like for the past couple of years. I mean, different
Worlds.
this year. Worlds. Literally, I'm on my flight. Last Worlds, I was on my flight during my birthday, so I experienced 2 birthdays.
Dude, this is the first time.
too.
This is the first time in like a decade that my birthday isn't during MSI. My birthday's been on like MSI finals days, or like I've just been like sitting alone in some other country for my birthday. Yeah. It's like it's always been rough. So I've been happy that this year is Sam. So
yeah, same.
And and honestly, it's just crazy that I'm actually turning 27. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you all May 19th.